You wanted to protest some of the things that were going on in this country, which is obviously and totally your right. The flip side, however, is that there are an abundance of people, including many, because I know a few in the military who feel this way, that really had a problem with the swap.
The wildest part about today's controversy isn't the rumor itself. It's how a claim that's already been debunked keeps finding new life at the exact moment the WNBA is finally hitting its stride. People are asking whether a certain TV rant exposed some secret test from Brittney Griner's time in Russia. Here's what was actually said, what never happened, and why this flare-up could either push the league to handle noise better or let the loudest voices steer the story. It started with a simple courtside clip. Griner's talking, her voice is low, the audio is clear, and casual viewers who hadn't followed her closely did a double take. The comments went off. Old conspiracies came roaring back, and within hours, edits and hot takes were bouncing between X, TikTok, and YouTube.
With Brittney Griner, I think some of this is arrogance as well. I think when you live in a country and you get to a certain high profile and a status, you feel like you can do no wrong and there are no consequences. Again, you talk about not being the smartest person in the pile. It's like I would tell Stephen A. Smith, you've got to stop looking at this like we look at it over here. It is not run over there like it is run over here. We are in a way different situation.
That's the surface level spark, the one that's easy to see. The less obvious spark is how a recycled claim keeps hitching a ride on any new viral moment tied to her name. The moment there's a fresh clip, the rumor machine grabs it and says, see, proof. Except it isn't. It never was. Here's the part a lot of people missed the first time. The so-called Russia ordered a DNA test storyline traces back to 2022, when a fake CNN screenshot circulated online. Fact checkers tore it down. There's no official record of any such test. None. That doctored image did damage because it looked like a credible chyron, but it was manufactured clickbait that took on a life of its own. Years later, the same screenshot keeps popping up in new thumbnails with new captions, pretending to be fresh. It isn't.
Brittney Griner is now revealing the harrowing conditions that she endured in a Russian prison. The basketball star told New York Times Magazine that the toilet in her first jail cell was a hole in the ground and that she had no soap or toothpaste. She used torn-up T-shirts as towels and toilet paper.
Yeah, Griner says the guards, they heckled her, they made lewd jokes.
It's the same zombie rumor from 2022 that journalists already identified as fabricated. If you only remember one thing from this video, remember this. There is no verified evidence that Russia ordered or conducted a DNA test on Brittney Griner. And yet, somehow, the debunk doesn't kill the buzz. Griner has never hidden from the conversation about her body and her voice. She's 6'9". She's been public about being bullied for her size, her chest, and the way she sounds. She said as a kid, her parents even took her to doctors to rule out a pituitary issue. At one point, she felt like a lab rat.
Everybody knows who Brittney Griner is, and if you don't know who Brittney Griner is, she is the WNBA star that we traded a weapons terrorist for about a year ago. And recently, a momentous personal occasion has happened for her.
You're about to be a mom. How is that feeling?
Pops.
Oh, let me get it together.
That context matters because it shows the cycle is old. People stare, people assume, and the internet adds fuel. It's easier to turn a person into a talking point than to engage with what they've actually said about their life. Her memoir, Coming Home, goes deeper. Isolation, scrutiny, the way public conversation can get cruel, and how she tried to stay herself anyway. The human reality is messier than a thumbnail with red arrows. These aren't brand new revelations. They're years of personal history that keep getting flattened into quick gotchas. Meanwhile, the league around her is changing fast. This isn't the WNBA of 5 years ago.
And it's important to recognize the fact that while we bring up Brittney Griner, we also bring up Paul Whelan from this perspective. The Biden administration said that they worked diligently and they pushed to try to get him released as well. And Russia was steadfast in their position that the only person that they were going to release at this particular moment in time was Brittney Griner.
The audience is bigger, the stakes are higher, and the money's getting real. Expansion is tangible, not hypothetical. The Golden State Valkyries debuted this season. More teams are on the way through 2030. There's a broader broadcast footprint. And yes, the viewership surge that started in 24 didn't come out of nowhere. Stars, rivalries, and storylines pulled in fans who'd never watched before. That's exactly why a revived hoax hits harder now. When the spotlight is finally this bright, a throwaway rumor can elbow aside an actual basketball story, like a record crowd, a rookie showdown, or a playoff push, and pull attention toward noise the league hoped it had left in the past.
Responsible for a lot of lives lost, and was willing to facilitate taking out more American lives. There are an abundance of people in this country who do not believe Brittney Griner was worth that.
And in a bigger spotlight, one loud hint can be enough to light a fire. Here's the media math. An unverified claim dies if nobody with a big audience repeats it. But if a loud voice just asks questions, the algorithm hears a pulse. Suddenly, an old fabrication gets framed like it's back in play. We watched a wave of new uploads and reposts pitch the DNA test angle as if something recent had been revealed, without citing a single credible source. It's content designed to travel, not to inform. Viewers see a confident tone and a dramatic title and assume there's a there there. There isn't. If you follow the links, you'll notice the story loops back to that same debunked 2022 image and a pile of commentary built on top of it. The form looks new, the rumor is the same. Which brings us to the hardest seat in the arena. Kathy Engelber is steering a league that finally has momentum, which makes this kind of rumor a real test of judgment. Say nothing and silence reads like a shrug. Say too much and you feed a story that didn't have facts to stand on.
WNBA star Brittney Griner convicted today on drug charges in Russia. A judge sentencing her to 9 years in a penal colony. Griner, detained in Russia for more than 5 months, found guilty of intentionally smuggling vape cartridges of hashish oil into the country.
The job isn't just about protecting the brand, it's about protecting a player while keeping the conversation anchored to basketball. That's a razor-thin line. There are really 3 plays on the table. First, ignore it and let third-party fact-checkers do the cleanup. That avoids amplifying the noise, but it risks leaving fans with half-remembered headlines and no clear answer. Second, correct and pivot. A short, calm statement that points to verified debunks, labels the rumor as unsubstantiated, and immediately shifts back to the season's storylines. Done right, it drains the oxygen without building a bigger stage. Third, go on offense, which feels strong in the moment but often triggers the Streisand effect, turning a fringe claim into a day-long media cycle. In a growth year, that's a steep price. Sponsors and broadcast partners care about one thing above all: brand safety. They don't need a manifesto. They need assurance that leadership can handle turbulence. That's why the most effective response is usually boring on purpose. Precise wording, no spikes in tone, and an immediate pivot to the basketball that fans actually came for. Think of it like game management. Limit turnovers, control tempo, and make the next possession count. There's also a player-first angle that can't be skipped. A league can't preach inclusion on media day and then go quiet when a player gets turned into content. A concise note that reaffirms respect for athletes' dignity, without reprinting the rumor, signals to the locker room and the fan base that the league's values aren't situational. If the Players Association echoes that line, the message lands twice. The execution matters. Pin the correction at the top of official channels for 24 hours. Use the shortest possible language, 1 paragraph, 2 links to independent debunks, and then flood the feed with highlights, player features, and game storylines. Give people something better to talk about. That's not hiding. That's refusing to let a hoax set your agenda. Handled this way, leadership protects the person at the center, protects the league's credibility, and keeps the oxygen pointed where it belongs: the court.
One, let's ignore them damn idiots who say such a thing about her, talking about she violated the laws. I don't want to hear that crap from them.
You say, oh, well, she only got caught with having a gram of cannabis, bloviating, whatever. Well, guess what? You did it in Russia. Okay, that's a totally different animal.
The easy version of this story reduces Griner to a talking point. The real version is a person who wrote about being singled out for how she looks and sounds long before Russia, long before this season's viral clip. Coming Home is full of details that don't trend. The quiet moments, the fear, the small kindnesses that kept her going. If you actually read it, the online pylons feel even cheaper. That's the cost of the rumor economy. It strips away the human and sells the spectacle. If we're going to talk about identity and sport, let's be honest about framing. Rumors suggest, reports claim, people speculate. Those are all signals to the audience. This is unverified. When creators skip those signals, they're not just chasing clicks. They're steering people toward a conclusion that was never proved. And once an idea gets cemented by repetition, the truth has to fight uphill to catch up. So what actually happens next? Expect one of two paths. Either the league or the Mercury issue a short statement pointing to existing fact checks and asking media to focus on the season, or they let third-party fact checkers do the heavy lifting and keep team channels centered on basketball. Meanwhile, the season rolls on. The Valkyries' debut year remains a headline, playoff positioning takes over the conversation, and expansion keeps the horizon busy. In other words, the rumor cycle burns hot, then dies when the next buzzer sounds, unless people keep rewarding it with attention. That's the part audiences control. There's a reason this kind of story keeps coming back. It's easy to repeat, and it pays off in views. But the facts didn't change in 2022, and they haven't changed now. The DNA test narrative wasn't real then, and there's still no credible evidence for it today. If you care about the game, demand receipts and look for the sources. The WNBA finally has the audience it deserves. Let's not hand the loudest rumor the microphone.